According to the Guttmacher Institute, less than half of American institutions are required to instruct sexual health educations in academic institutions. On top of that undeniably alarming statistic, only 13 states require the information being taught to their students to be medically accurate. Today, I am going to inform you of the current status of sex education in America. I am credible on this topic because over the course of my career as a student, I have been involved in extensive research efforts on the status of sex education in America. On top of that, I am also going to school to be a midwife, so I'm incredibly passionate about this topic. I have also been involved with volunteer efforts with Planned Parenthood. It is no secret that the importance of sex education applies to everyone. Even if you're not a student, it is so important that the generations preceding ours are comprehensively educated to make healthy decisions on their own. If sex education were mandatory in each state, we would ultimately have a healthier, more informed society. Being aware of where sex education is being taught, how it is being taught, and the importance of why it should be instructed is crucial to a healthy, knowledgeable society. In being knowledgeable of where sex education is being taught in America, it becomes crucial to understand the current status of sex education. Understanding where sex education is being instructed in the United States is imperative to comprehend the current condition and status of our education systems. According to Planned Parenthood, the legislation of sex education falls under the jurisdiction of each individual state. The United States Department of Education currently does not hold the power over sex education. As a consequence, as stated earlier, less than half of American states require their states to teach sexual health education. And on top of that, only 13 states require that the information being taught be medically accurate. Consequently, there becomes a considerable inequality in the education of students in public schools all over America. Even when sex education is required, it is ultimately determined by the individual state's discretion on how and when to teach the course. In becoming aware of where sex education is being taught, it becomes crucial to know how it is being taught. As a consequence of distinguishing state laws, there are various judgments and translations on how sex education should be taught. For instance, there are diverse educations. There is abstinence-based only based educations, and there is also comprehensive-based educations. Abstinence-only based education teaches their students strictly not to engage in sexual activity until marriage. While abstinence-based training can be effective, it does not encompass alternative reproductive health education. Comprehensive sex education encompasses various topics. These topics include, but are not limited to, information on contraceptive methods, sexually transmitted diseases, pregnancies and way to prevent pregnancy, gender roles, and more. Considering individual states determine when and how they teach sexual education, complications arise in consistency of knowledge in students throughout America. Because of different types, for many students, there becomes a void in teenage sexual health literacy. Considering this inequality of education is so high, there have been multiple studies to show what the most effective way of sexual education is. Through various forms of research, it has been proven that comprehensive sexual education is most successful. The National Survey of Family Growth concluded, in providing inclusive sexual education, students were 50% less likely to experience pregnancy compared to abstinence-based programs. Similarly, in providing evidence-based, medically accurate information to adolescents, Advocates for Youth found that 60% stopped having unprotected sex, while 30% significantly lessened the amount they were having sex and some even returning to abstinence. Evidently, it has been proven that comprehensive sexual health education is critical in aiding students to manage their sexual health in a responsible way. Sexual health education is vital in providing young people with resources to make important life decisions on their own. In knowing where and how sexual education is being taught, it becomes crucial that we ensure that generations preceding ours are educated on sexual health to have an overall healthier society. While sex education focuses deeply on how to prevent unwanted pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases, they provide an abundance of other topics as well. Sexual education aids in assisting adolescents to avoid making negative health decisions and choices. According to current neurology and science reports, in America, over 82% of adolescents' pregnancies are unattended. Likewise, according to the Guttmacher Institute, adolescents ranging from 15 to 24 years of age account for 25% of sexually transmitted diseases in America. This makes it especially important to have access to cohesive sexual education. As opposed to various other courses such as geometry and algebra that may not be as useful, sex education courses remain relevant for the rest of someone's life. According to the Guttmacher Institute, 71% of adolescents aged 19 have had sexual intercourse. Similarly, 99% of Americans will engage in sexual intercourse at some point in their lives. In review, studies show it is imperative that all American education systems educate their students with comprehensive, medically accurate sex education. When proper sex education is mandatory in academic institutions, the amount of unplanned pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases decreases significantly. The importance of sexual health education applies to everyone. Although there are some who may not be students, it is essential that the generations preceding ours are comprehensively educated on the topic to make their own healthy decisions. If sexual health education were mandatory in each state, we would ultimately have a healthier, informed society. Young people have a right to sexual health education that gives them the tools and information to live their best life.